You're listening to Cash and Sass. I'm Lisa Marie, your go-to gal for all things money. As the Sassy Wealth Queen and the brains behind the Sassy Wealth Coach, I'm here to take you on a thrilling ride from the financial chaos to sassy and sexy money. Hey, my sassy friend. Welcome to the Cash and Sass podcast for another episode. And I am so excited. Can't you tell? I have my dear friend, Karena Calhoun. She is a wife, a mom, and a go-to life and business strategist. And let me tell you, she is amazing for online service-based introverts. Yes, and I'm not an introvert, but she's still amazing. She's all about helping them grow their business and reach financial freedom while staying true to themselves. Karena's own journey started when she left her corporate job in 2019, and the first 6 months were tough because there was no earnings. And by 2021, she was smashing her financial goals. Working with different coaches, she realized there was a big missing piece in the coaching world. That's when she pivoted to focus on the business strategies for introverts, a path she hadn't planned, but it felt right. Karena has a knack for cutting through the online noise with a straightforward strategy that helps introverts attract clients without losing their authentic selves. Her training is all about getting straight to the point and seeing real results fast. Karena is excited to help you transform your business in your own authentic way. And y'all, let me tell you, I absolutely love her. I got to meet her in person, and it was like we were long-lost best friends, and I've already told her I cannot wait. We need to hurry up and meet up again. She unfortunately doesn't live as close as she was when I got to see her in person, because otherwise we would have already been seeing each other in person again. But Karena, will you please, this is going to be candid conversations about money, right? And one of the things that you put in the form was the feast and famine style of being in entrepreneurship. And that kind of stuck out to me because you left corporate in 2019. You wanted your business. You wanted to grow it. You didn't want to work for someone else. And I know what that was like when I was let go in 2016. And so I want to kind of approach that topic and discuss what that looks like, and maybe have some tips for the listeners that, you know, where we didn't do things the easier way, where they might be able to.
Absolutely. First off, I want to say thank you so very much, Lisa, for allowing me to be a guest on your amazing show. I am super thrilled, really honored. And girl, I love you. I love you with my whole heart. And you know that. And yes, for those that are listening, we met for the first time, and it was like we were best friends, sisters who hadn't seen each other in a while, and we just picked right on up. So yeah, I left corporate America in 2019. And it wasn't actually by choice that I left. The company that I was working for had been working for 7 years, over 7 years, shut down abruptly. And at that time, I had already had my business for about a year and a half. And so I was just kind of plain entrepreneur, not really all that serious, but still had some clients here and there. So when they shut down, I thought, well, I'll just multiply what I'm doing. No problem. It didn't work like that, because I wasn't fully embracing the entrepreneurial life. It was just kind of forced on me at that point when the company shut down. And so I didn't have the knowledge that I have now. I didn't have, I had a desire because I felt like, hey, listen, I don't have my corporate job anymore. I'm actually kind of sick of corporate America. So yeah, let me go ahead and try to make this thing happen. But I was still in it half-hearted. And I say that because I still had, savings. I had all types of things that I could kind of fall back on. So it wasn't really that serious for me until it got serious. And then I started experiencing that feast or famine cycle where if I don't get clients, then I don't have income. If I don't have income, then how am I going to help support my family? And that was a hard situation to be in. I hadn't planned for it, and I think one thing that I would tell folks at this point in time if you find yourself in a 9 to 5, but you have a side hustle and you know at some point you want to go full force into entrepreneurship, go ahead and get those things in place so that we know how the economy has been acting over the last 4 or 5 years. You never know when, you're going to go into a company and they say, hey, guess what? We're shutting down. That was my second shutdown. Actually, three shutdowns in my entire career. That's a lot. That's a lot. And so, especially when you have no control over it, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't say, hey, listen, I'll do better. There's nothing that you can say because the companies are completely wiped out. They're gone. There's nothing you can do. So, what do you do to combat that? If you're an entrepreneur, you go ahead and get your ducks in a row. You work in your business as if you don't have a 9 to 5, as if you wake up tomorrow and it's gone. Your 9 to 5 is gone. So that when you do transition into your entrepreneurial space, there's no hiccups. You don't experience that feast or famine. Because let me tell you, the feast or famine it wreaks havoc on your confidence. It wreaks havoc in your life, period. Because when you're up, you got clients, you're great, everything is wonderful, and you feel like this is it. I'm doing wonderful, but then when you're down, you're down. So I think that's the biggest piece right there.
Yeah, and I want us to touch on when we say get things
Mhm.
together, right? So, because when you just say get things together, some people take it that means one thing, and some people might take it in another. And I know part of that is managing your money, and part of that is working on the money mindset. Because when you are in a 9 to 5, especially when you hate it, and I know. It messes with your mindset. I used to celebrate that I made it through layoffs. Y'all, I made it through 8 layoffs on a job I had. 8. I don't Now I look back, I'm like, "Why the hell did we
I
celebrate
did
that?"
too.
How
Yeah,
we
yeah.
celebrated it because we made it, and then we're like, wait a minute. And the more it happened, the more it messed with your
Mhm.
mindset, which also messes with your money mindset. And so when you are working on having this business and you're tired of the 9 to 5 hustle and the 9 to 5 of, okay, am I going to have a job tomorrow? Are they going to shut down? Are they going to do another layoff? Um, I think it's important for us to discuss the things that you should, really be concentrating on. One, of course, is building your business. And I believe managing your money. What would you say some of those things are? Like, how would you work on your money mindset if you could have, if you were 2019 Karena again, what would you have done differently as far as your money mindset and money management to help you where you didn't have those
That
hiccups?
is a really great question, Lisa, and I think my answer is going to really hit home, and I think it's something that you're going to deeply agree with, and that is really aligning yourself with your values. But first and foremost, finding out what your values are. I did not know what my values were in 2019. My values are time freedom, location freedom, financial freedom, and what that looks like for me and my family. I want to have time free. I want to have my values 100%. When you get your values in place, that's going to speak to literally every single thing else in your life. You're going to be able to see what like you talk about those money mindset, I would say, tricks that try to come in and make you think otherwise. You're going to be able to see that. It's going to come to the forefront because you'll know, listen, that doesn't align with my value. My value of I want to be able to spend time with my family. If you have a young family at home, you want to raise your children without having to spend 9, 10, 11 hours in someone else's office doing someone else's work and then only having maybe 4 or 5 weeks a year for vacation, that's bumping up against your value. And so when you really dial into what are your values first and foremost, that's going to run your mindset, it's going to run your business, it's going to run your money. So I would say
Mhm.
do a values check first and foremost.
Oh, absolutely. And when you do that values check, then you need to check your money and see if it's the spending that you're doing or the saving that you're doing, because saving, some of your savings couldn't be aligned with your values too. That's happened. But you need to really, really do a what I call a gut check in your bank account and look at the spending and really be honest. Is it aligned with those values? Because if it's not, you need to make some changes. And, I tell people all the time, look, you don't have to be honest with me. You don't have to be honest with Karena. You don't have to be honest with anybody else. You got to be honest with yourself. Because if you're not at least honest with yourself, then no matter what those values are and what those goals are, you're not going to get there because what you're doing isn't aligned with them. And people a lot of times will say, "Oh, well, I have goals. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know what steps I'm taking." Okay, well, is it aligned with your values? And, have you looked to make sure what you're doing is, oh, I don't know.
And, even with that, Lisa, the whole thing of I have goals. Okay, goals are fine. But what is it that you want out of life? Because that's what's going to also drive said goals. Because your goals is really just a
Hmm.
group of tasks that you lump together, that you create so that you reach what you
Right.
want out of life. So, someone saying that, I have goals. Okay, what does that mean? What does that look like? What do you see for your life? And unfortunately, a lot of times people don't realize that it's tied to their money and, like we said, their values,
Hmm.
what they're saying to
Hmm.
themselves. A lot of times that inner
Hmm.
speak, oh my goodness, that inner speech, it is horrific. Absolutely 100. And so I love how
Yep.
you say be honest with yourself. When you're honest with yourself, you'll begin. And if you have someone like Lisa, because listen, we're friends, we're sisters, but I stalk, okay? And I feel like I have a very good money mindset. I would have needed Lisa in 2019, but even with that, my ego is not such that I don't think I can learn from her. I stalk her social media because there's just things that will say, that's something right there I probably need to dial into. And so it is imperative that you know and understand that it's forever a growth process. There's things that you may not be
Mhm.
aware of until it's like it's hurting you. So having someone in your corner that can help you uncover and identify those things is so vital. So absolutely vital.
And very much so. I mean, that's the whole point of Cash and Sass, okay? Is I'm tired of money being so taboo. I'm tired of us not having these candid conversations. I think it stops so many of us. And when I say candid conversations about money, I mean money mindset, money trauma. I mean everything and anything it needs to be put on the table and we need to pull it apart and we need to start talking. We need to start digging and talking. And that's the only way that we're going to change our relationship with money because money is energy. Money is a tool, it's what we do with it. And we have to work on the money mindset and how we think about and look at money in order for us to reach what we want out of life and to take those actionable steps to get to the goals that are going to get us to what we want out of life, right? So I'm going to track, I want to talk what before you got here, what were some of like in 2000, what were some of the money mindset or money beliefs that you
Oh
had?
my goodness. I didn't believe that there was enough for me. I felt like I would get to a certain point and that was going to be it. I didn't feel like I deserved any more than what I had. And that's because I went off of what other people told me I deserved. And so I was, led to believe that I was there and that was it. Another thing was that rich people were snobs, that they were uncaring, that they lacked empathy. How can I be?
And so why would you want to be rich when you have empathy? You're afraid it's going to change you.
Yeah. Another thing was because I didn't understand my own values, um, I spent money in a way that I thought was going to make me feel good, and it never did. Never ever did it. So in other words, for example, I would go and so there's just so many things attached to money. It's just insane. Just really insane. I would emotional eat. So a lot of times people do retail therapy to make themselves feel good when they're stressed and all of that stuff. Mine was eating. Right. Mine was eating. So what would happen was when my husband
Mine was both.
so what would
Mine
right.
was
And
both.
so what would happen was, Lisa, oh my goodness, I was in high level leadership, okay? And so I would have extremely stressful days. I was overseeing 4 departments. I was training people. I was managing people. I was managing processes and systems. So I would have extremely stressful days. So I would get off work. Before I would leave the building, I would call my husband on my cell phone and I would say, hey, babe, meet me at such and such restaurant. And so we'd be at whatever restaurant. And this was 5 days a week. 5 days a week. So guess what happened? That's how I would make me feel good, by eating, spending all of this unnecessary money, which then decreased my health because my health just plummeted.
Mhm.
I started gaining weight, literally
Mhm.
triple digits over triple
Mhm.
digits, blood pressure.
Mhm.
So it was all like a cycle that just would not stop. It would not stop. But I didn't know
And
I
that's
was in it, and I didn't recognize it. I had no idea.
mhm. And that's the reason why I consider, like, I created the 5 wealth codes. And that's the reason why wealth of body is one of the wealth codes. And when I say wealth of body, I mean your mental health and your fitness, your physical health, because we don't realize how much that affects our mindset and how our mental health affects our physical health and our physical health affects our mental health and how that affects us running a business and managing money and perfect example, y'all, I'm a wealth coach. Okay, I'm a CFO and a wealth coach. This week I was supposed to be somewhere else other than here. I was supposed to be in Whistler, and because of personal circumstances I had to cancel at the last minute, and I was bummed. Okay. That was like, I was supposed to be with my mastermind group. That is where I was supposed to be. Well, my thing is retail therapy, big time. And I absolutely love Judy Blue jeans because if you've met me, which Karena has, I have a booty. Okay. We just gonna say it. Well, Judy Blues fit right. They fit in the waist. They fit. Okay. My point, these are not cheap jeans. These jeans run anywhere between $55 to $70 a pair. Okay. But they're really good jeans. I love them. And I went looking for some jeans. Y'all, I added 3 pairs of jeans to my cart. And I looked at the amount, which, by the way, was over $200. And the amount of money is not my point. My point is I stopped myself because all of a sudden I went, wait, why are you wanting to buy these? Are you buying them because you want them? Or are you buying them because you want them to make you feel better? And is it going to make you feel better long-term wise? When you ask yourselves those questions and just stop and think for a minute, 9 out of 10 times you're not going to spend all of the money that you were about to spend. I took one pair of jeans off the cart, out of the cart, and then I left 2 pair. And I said, okay, I'll come back in 24 hours. Y'all, I still haven't gone back to buy those jeans. And I love Judy Blue jeans. Let me tell you, like, I went on retail therapy once before when my business first skyrocketed, when it first hit those 6 figures. Man, I was buying these jeans fit me. I was replacing my wardrobe. The next thing I know, how much money I spent. Holy crap, Lisa, what in the world? So that was when Lisa went and created a Lisa spending savings account. And if there was money in the savings account, she could go buy it. And if there wasn't, she couldn't. Because I had to put something there so that the spending aligned with my values, right? Because I love the jeans, but buying them wasn't really aligning with what my goals and values were, right? Now, I have one pair of pink jeans that are in there. Hello, pink hair. And let me tell you, these are some sassy pink jeans. Lisa's getting those pink jeans. She's put a stipulation on it in order to buy them. I'm only going to buy one pair, and it'll be those. And I have to wait until the end of this weekend once I've done certain things that I wanted to make sure I did. That way, it's more of a reward, and it's not an emotional spending. Because what I was doing was an emotional spending. If I'd have bought those 3 jeans earlier this week, it would have been an emotional spending, and which means later I'd have felt horrible and I would have regretted it. Because let's think about it. How many times later on after you did the eating and you spent the money, did you go, damn, why did I do that? Or feel bloated or feel horrible or whatever.
Absolutely, 100%. And that began the transition for me. That part actually started before I left corporate America, because I began to see what it was doing. Honestly, I'm not even gonna say that like that, because that's not entirely true. The transition began when I was not feeling well one day. Here in the other room, in my bedroom, I sat at my makeup table was in there at the time, and I sat at my makeup table and I said, I really don't feel good. I was on my way to work that morning, getting ready, and I called my boss and I said, hey, listen, I'm gonna go to see my doctor because I don't really feel well, and I don't know, something's going on. So I went to the doctor that same day. They saw me and they said, if you come in here like this again, you're gonna leave out in an ambulance. And they were not joking. It was not a threat. It was not a joke. It was a promise, because my blood pressure was triple digits over triple digits. And what was happening was I was eating so much because I was so stressed that um, I had gained so much weight. And it was to the point where even with the weight thing, where I sat in the office, none of us had, well, the top folks had offices, but those of us that were in other leadership levels, we sat in the back. There was a big window. The wall was a huge window. And when I would walk back to my desk, I would see my reflection in the mirror, and I was walking like this. And so I'm like, oh my goodness, what in the world? And this is not to body shame anyone. This is my experience with my life. And so that started
Right.
the transition of looking at what I'm doing to my body. And that began the transition of what are my values. But even then, to be very honest with you, Lisa, I still did not really drill into my values, because I still didn't know exactly who I was and why I was. And I didn't
Mhm.
go through all of that until after corporate America. And I started really desiring to have a prosperous business. So, it's a part.
What'd you do to make that shift?
Um,
Oh, sorry. What'd you do to make that shift with your mindset?
so it was a couple of things that I did. I started to realize, there's just some things I don't know that I don't know. And that was my thing when I was in corporate America. So that's when I started listen, I need a coach. I need someone who can help me because there's some places I want to access that I can't access and I don't know why I can't access them. Then there's also some places that I need to access that I don't even know about. And so having the right
Mhm.
coach in place helped me to really uncover those things that I didn't know or that I knew but didn't know how to access.
And did that shift your money mindset and your relationship with money so that you were able to now build a prosperous business, build what I call create, retain, and expand wealth, right? Because I think that's what I want to help all women do, or the women who are high achieving and they're ready to take that. That's what I do. And what was that shift to where you looked at it and you said, you know what, I need to change my relationship with money, that I need to, these are my values. I want to have a prosperous business.
100%. So having this idea that I could work from anywhere in the world, having this idea that I don't have to be chained to someone else's vision, having the idea that I can actually accomplish things that are buried deep in my heart because let's be honest, I'm a Gen Xer. So there are certain things that I was taught that no, you don't need to dream for that. You don't need to want for that. Just go with the flow and let things happen. No, we're not going to let things happen. And so making that transition, I had to dig into really understanding Karina, understanding me
Mhm.
better, knowing what it is I specifically want. And that's when I began to really understand these are the values that I have, not the values that mom and them put on me, not the values that society put on me, but these are the values that I have. This is what I really want. And if you're not aligned with that, then, excuse the expression, but kick rocks. I mean, really, you know,
And for everybody that is listening or watching this, okay, I'm going to have to tell you why she said that. My dear friend, who I absolutely adore and love, does not cuss. I do. And we have this agreement. I do my best not to cuss a lot. I don't cuss like a sailor. I used to. I don't cuss like a sailor. But I still cuss. And she does it. So that is probably the closest I have ever heard her come to saying something that would symbolize a curse word. Kick rocks. I am going to take that and use that. So I love it. I absolutely love it. What she means by that, not what she means by kick rock. If you don't understand what she means by kick rocks, we have to have a discussion later. But what I'm saying, what she means is when you don't have the things aligned with your values, it's not going to matter what you're doing with your money
Mhm.
mindset or your money mindset. If you're not you're spending, or even when you're saving, that's great that you're saving. Is the savings aligned with your values? Are you saving for something that's aligned with your values? If not, you're still not going to get to where you want to be because you're not doing the things aligned to your
Can
values.
I say something there?
I've had a client who,
I,
yeah.
I want to tell you how so on point you are, how so on point Lisa is, you all. Because when I left corporate America, remember I said I was making really good money. When I say my household, we were good. We were good. Credit, savings, 401k. When I say good, good. So to walk into work one day and they say, "Hey, we're shutting down completely." Uh, okay, was my mindset because I knew how good we were. But the thing was, we were saving money, we had great credit, and we had, just this great financial landscape, but it was not attached to values. We were doing it not for a specific reason. We were doing it just because. So
Because that's what you're
that's what
supposed
we
to
were
do.
supposed to do. But once things started getting hard, the feast or famine cycle came. That's when we really understood. Now let's dial into what is our mindset and what are our values. So when I tell you, you hit the nail on the head. So you can do all of this saving, you can do all of this stuff. But if it's not connected to values, it can go just like that. And it can mean absolutely nothing.
Mhm.
You hit the nail on the head.
Which you can go kick rocks. You can go kick rocks.
Well, you probably are kicking rocks at that point.
Right? I was gonna say. And it's true. And that's not to put down you saving.
Mhm.
That's not to put down you spending. Because again, this podcast there is no judgment. What I'm wanting you to get from this is question yourself. And again, you don't have to be honest with anybody, but be honest with yourself. Is my spending, is my savings aligned with my values? And then you're like, well, I don't know. Okay. First thing, list those values out. Really dig deep and see what those values are. And then go and look and see if they're aligned. And if they're not, get them aligned. You don't have to do it all at one time, but start getting them aligned. One of the things I do is I was like, okay, these aren't aligned with my values and goals. What would be? Well, for me, it's having different savings accounts for different things. Okay. And it's being able to see me be in control and me telling me where my money is going so that I can make sure it's aligned with my values. I want to give back. I want to provide impact. And in order to do that, my spending and my savings has to be aligned with my values because otherwise I'm not going to be able to. Hence why I stopped myself from spending $250 on 3 pairs of jeans. A year ago, I'd have spent the money and wouldn't have thought twice about it. And that's me being honest because even now as a wealth coach, I still work on my mindset. I have coaches. And that is something you will always, 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 always work on. And you have to be able to have those tools. And that first thing is knowing what those values are. Because again, you could have already worked on your mindset. You can be working on your mindset, but if none of it's aligned with those values, it's not going to mean anything because you're just going to be chasing on a hamster wheel.
Yep.
And so I still can't get over the kick rocks. I'm going to be thinking about that for hours, y'all, the rest of the day. What advice would you give for someone who is on that hamster wheel and they're now saying, "Okay, you know what? I'm seeing my values aren't." So I want them to be able to hear it from someone else other than me, the wealth coach. What step did you do to what was one of the first things you would say to do to get the spending or the savings aligned with your values?
Honestly, it's just a repeat of what you said just a few minutes ago, and that's really identifying your values, being honest with yourself, not anyone else, releasing the judgment. It's okay to want to have 6, 7, 8 figures. It's okay. You're not a bad person. You're not a stingy person. You're not a nasty person. You're not equivalent to, I'm not going to name names because we don't want to, flag your show. But some of these millionaires and billionaires who we see who are absolutely like, what are you doing? You're frivolous with the money. You are making bad decisions. You're being judgmental. We are not them. And we're not going to become them
Mm-mm.
because we have more money. And then understanding
Exactly.
that with that money, yes, there's additional responsibility, but you have the wherewithal to be responsible. You have the wherewithal to know how to manage it, to have people like you in place. So having those values, really understanding them, knowing, like I said, I can't press this enough. Being wealthy, having money does not equate to being a bad person. Some of the
Very much
some of
so.
the feast or famine cycles are self-imposed, and people don't realize that.
Mhm.
And so I would really say honing in on those values. That's people want a checklist of things that I need to do on the outside, those external things, but first and foremost, it has to be those internal things.
Mhm. And I believe that that's the reason why instead of saying money coach, I'm a wealth coach is because to me, you can have lots of money and you can be rich and you can be miserable and you can be broke. Trust me, I've seen it. Not me. I've seen people who like make 7, 8 figures and are broke. And to me, being wealthy is not only creating that wealth, having money, but it's also retaining it and expanding it, meaning giving back, doing good, living life on my terms, having the freedom to go or whatever that looks like for you. That's where that word wealth is, because for you, your freedom may look different than mine. Your values may be different than mine. How you want to give back may be different than mine, right? Excuse me. And so I think it's really, really important that you realize that, it's funny. Someone used to ask me what I wanted to make in my business, and I was like, they're like, you want to get to 6 figures? And I was like, no, I just want to pay my bills. That's when I first started, right? That was the only thing I wanted. I just decided if I was barely going to make ends meet, and because part of my money mindset was, who was I to think that I could make 6 figures? That I could have a business that makes 6 figures. When I reached 6 figures, my old coach actually asked me, she said, what's your next goal? And I was like, I don't have one. She said, you don't want to go for 500, half 500,000? I was like, that's 500,000. No. She's like, why not? I'm like, because the first thing my money mindset thought was, who are you to even think such a thing, right? And now it's actually one of my goals. It's one of the things. And it's because money is a tool, and the more wealth I create, which means the more money I bring in, the more good I can do. Because again, money's energy, money's a tool, and it is what makes things happen. So you have to shift the way you think about money and how you're making it and how much you're making it, and make sure it aligns with your values, right? You don't have to do 8 figures if you don't want to. If that doesn't align with you, then don't do 8 figures. I don't have a desire to go to 8 figures. I'm not sure I have a desire to go to 7. It's a stretch for me, okay? Will I get there? Probably. And want it? Yeah. And it's okay if I don't want that, right? It's okay if Karina does. Because again, it's the values and what we're doing with it. And so, I know plenty of people who don't want to do 7 figures. They don't have that desire. And that's okay, because you can still do 6 figures, mid 6 figures, and be able to have impact. again, it's what you do with the money, and it's how making sure it's aligned with your values.
100%, I agree. And whatever that dollar amount is that you want, be okay with telling people, "This is what I want," and standing in that. Standing
And be okay with it
Yeah.
changing
Yeah,
over time
100%.
because it's going to.
Yeah, 100%.
Very much so. You have I think if I remember this correctly, you have an event coming up, and it's going to be in the show notes along with her social media and her website. Y'all reach out to her, especially if you're an introvert. As you can tell, I am not, and I want to hug this lady so much. I also stalk her. I'm in her group, and it was so funny when she invited me. I was like, it's for introverts. And she says, and I was like, honey, you know me. I am not an introvert. She said, yes, I know. And it'll still help you, and it'll still benefit you. And it does, because she gives really good tools on things that we can do to be visible and be seen. And that's important when we're in entrepreneurship, especially in the online space. So please tell them what it is that the links that they'll be signing up for. And what it'll be for, so that they
Absolutely,
know.
100%. So every month I have a visibility challenge. And what this does is gets it introverts or extroverts. It really doesn't matter. I do call out to introverts, but it allows women entrepreneurs, online service based women, to get the tools and tips and strategies that they need to be visible so that they're able to really dial into their client attraction, then their client engagement, and then moving into the sales calls. And so a lot of times what I'm finding is women, especially us introverts. I am an introvert. I did this show with Lisa. A lot of times people think, oh, you're not an introvert. I am 100%. I'm going to go lay down when this is
She
done.
is. Yep.
But a lot of times people don't realize that there's a lot of strategy, a lot of tactics that we have to do behind the scenes in order to draw in the audience that we really want, so that our impact does not lie dormant within us. And that's what's happening, unfortunately, with a lot of people, a lot of women. Our impact is lying dormant because we're not able to reach the audience that we really, really want and desire. So if you're hearing crickets, you're posting every day, you're being inconsistent with your posting, possibly you're launching all types of digital products and services and things, but no one is reaching out to you, you're not signing the clients that you want to sign, get in touch with me.
And the event is going to
It
be
is
inside your
inside of my
group,
group,
right?
yes, which is Rise and Thrive Introverts,
Okay.
Introvert Women's Community.
I will make sure that link is
Absolutely.
in the show notes so that you can join the group, because she has those 3 days events, and they're really, really, really good events. And for those of you who are listening, make sure you go and check out. It'll show on her page, and I think she's going to have me tagged when we do it. But we are doing something together that is, what would you call it
Yep.
again? Never Boring with
Yep.
Lisa
Never
and
Boring with
Karena.
Lisa and Karena.
So, Never Boring with Lisa and Karena. We are doing a Facebook Live, and it's going to show up on both our pages. And I think we're doing once to twice a month, because there's a couple of months that we're having conflict doing it twice a month. And I think it would be, because look, again, nothing's going to be off topic because it's Never Boring
right.
with Lisa and Karena. So I think you should check that out as well. And until next time, my friend, stay sassy. And thank you for joining us. And thank you, Karena, for being on my show.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for joining us this week on Cash and Sass. Check us out on social media and on our website at www.thesassywealthcoach.com, where you can download my free Money Story Start Guide. The website again is www.thesassywealthcoach.com. And as always, subscribe to the show to catch every new episode, and leave us a review so we can continue to bring you fresh content. And remember, yes, it is possible to have sassy and sexy money. See you next week.